Hi, my name is Bradford King. I'm a senior at Jackson Hole Community School, and for my senior project, I'm going to be making a split cane bamboo fly rod with the help of Jim Berkenfield. So this video is just going to be walking everyone through the steps and a short tutorial on how to make a bamboo fly rod. So follow along with us. All right, so we got our piece of bamboo here. Here's the comb. It's already been cut a little bit more to size. Here's gonna be the tip of the rod. Cut it just below the node. That way there's the most space because these nodes, these rings right here are gonna be the weakest point of the rod. So this is gonna be end up being the tip. And this right here is gonna be the butt. And what we're doing here is we're getting ready to torch. This is just day one. We're getting ready to torch and then we're gonna split the cane. So what we're gonna start with is we're taking a tape measure here and we're gonna measure out halfway around this comb from this initial split. And then once we have that, we're gonna split it down that line and then we'll get to torching. So let me just film that really quick.
It hits you somewhere close to the line, then you're in business. Turn. Yeah, right. I started off fine. Yep, started off good.
Finished torching them. Got our two split pieces of the comb here. And now we're gonna be taking this file here and we're gonna be filing out and flattening these nodes to get those ready for the next step. Okay, so I finished filing down and you can see all these nodes are a little bit flatter. And I was just working on this file down every single one of them. And then we'll take sandpaper to it. But first I gotta get these other nodes done and then we'll be able to sand it. Okay, so I finished up both pieces and the nodes are filed off somewhat. And then what we're gonna do next is we're gonna come in with this sander and we're just gonna rebuff out all those nodes. We'll go through both sheets and then we'll be done for day one. All right, so both the pieces of the comb have now been filed and sanded, and you can see that it slowly sort of takes that down. We'll take it down more later, but that's it for day one. The stocks are ready to go for part two. Okay, so for the start of day two, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be splitting these bigger pieces of the comb into the smaller things, and we're gonna be cutting and getting those sort of smaller triangle pieces ready to go for the rod. So I'm gonna start by splitting marking each one of these in thirds, and then we'll get to splitting later. Okay, so we marked up each node now, and now we're gonna go back to the first thing we did, and we're gonna split it along those lines to get the smaller sections. Okay, so we split it into these three smaller sections, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this file, we're gonna knock off a couple of these nodes pieces on the back to help us split the rest, and then we're gonna go through and we're gonna cut each of one of these into hopefully 4 parts per. So we'll get about 12 strips that we can use for our rod later on. So let me go through those steps. All right, so I filed off the back of these nodes a little bit on all 3 pieces, and then I went through and I measured out halfway, and so now we're ready to split these again. Okay, so we split it into 6 different smaller pieces, and then I added an extra step in where I went through with a file and I filed down the back of the nodes to make them even more flat. And now I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna mark halfway around each one, and we're gonna get ready to split them again. All right, so we split those into a bunch of smaller pieces. We probably got 9 good ones in here. Some of them are a little bit iffy, so we'll have to see if those will work. But we have this whole other piece of the comb that we'll work with, and we'll get a bunch more pieces out as some replacements and some extras. So let me go do that. So we finished splitting all the pieces. We picked 6 for the tip and 6 for the butt section of the rod, and we probably have 4 or 5 extras in case we need them. The next step is pretty crucial. It's about focusing on these nodes, which are the weakest part of the rod. And so when you're casting, when you're catching fish, that's really what you want to look out for. And so what we're doing is we're helping to sort of distribute the load on the nodes by staggering them. And so remember, we have 6 strips that'll sort of form like a little circle when they glue up together for the rod. And so what we're doing right now is we picked an opposing pattern. That way the 2 nodes on either side of the 6 will match, but then going down, they'll sort of spiral like that. And that's the pattern that we're choosing. So it'll help. So there's no like overlapping nodes. And so once we staggered them, we measured them, and now we're about to cut them into about 52 inches to leave 2 extra on the butt and tip part of the strips. And then after that, after we cut them, then we can get into the next section of it. All right, so what we just did is we cut every single piece to 52 inches in length, and they're all even and nicely cut. We staggered the nodes, and then we colored in the end of it. Some are pink, 6 are pink, 6 are black, so we know which one is the butt sections, and then which ones are the tip sections. And then what we also did on one like this is we put little lines numbering them so you can know which ones match up. Because since, as I already said, we're doing the sort of offset, and then it's going to be a spiral. And so we have the numbers that will match up so we know which ones are across from each other. That way we make sure that none of the nodes are lined up next to each other. And so that's it for day 2. All right, so for day 3, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a bunch of work on these nodes here. We're going to be straightening and flattening them. We're going to be going through and taking out all these sort of little bends and kinks in the actual little strips. And then we're going to be flattening these more to get those ready to work on. And so what we're going to go through here is we're going to head on over to the sander over there. And what we're going to do is we're going to sand down the back part of these nodes a little bit and get them even. And then once we're done with that, we'll come in with the heat gun. We'll heat it up a bunch, and then once it's like warm and heated, we can put it in a vise, we can bend it. And so what we're gonna be doing all today is sort of heating every single one of these nodes, bending them, letting them in a vise, letting them cool, and that'll hopefully make it super straight and super flat. And then that'll be how we're gonna do day 3. All right, so we got all those 12 strips, all the ones that we're planning on using. I heated them up, went at every node, straightened them out, and then put them in a vise and flattened them. So now they're looking as straight as possible, and they're all set. And then what's gonna be next is we're gonna start planing them, but that's it for day 3. Okay, for the start of day 4, we're gonna be going through with all of our strips that we previously straightened, and we're gonna be going through on this plane and with our little hand plane, and we're going to be going through and we're going to be setting roughly the first sort of 60-degree angle on one side of each of these strips. This is just the first step out of 3 for the planing, so this will just be pretty rough and just on one side, and it's just like an initial sort of start, and then we'll move on to the other planing form later. But I'm just going to go through with this hand plane, and I'm going to get all those strips and get those roughly set. Okay, so for day 5, we're doing the exact same thing, working on the same ones. We're still gonna be working on the butt section, and we're just gonna be putting them, we're gonna making them level, getting them actually perfect and level with the planing form. And so it's gonna be a multiple day process. This is just day 2. I'm guessing there's gonna be about 4 days of just planing. It's by far, so far the most time consuming, so we're just gonna keep on planing. Okay, it's day 7, and we finally finished the 6 butt pieces yesterday. These are all good triangles, you can see. They're all way smaller. These 6 are done with the second stage of planing. And now for day 7, we're going to be starting the multiple day process of doing the same thing with the tips. And so we'll be finishing those up and getting those 30% bigger than what they finally will be. And then that's what we're going to do starting on day 7. All right, so it's about halfway, almost done with day 9. We finished up all the tip sections. These are all 30% bigger than like the thickest part. You can also see them in comparison to the butt sections. They're way smaller, but they're only gonna get smaller. So next up, now that stage 2 of the planing process is done, we're gonna put the tip sections away. We're gonna get back out the butt sections, and we're gonna switch to a new full-length planing form that we'll measure out and set to the taper, and we'll go through and we'll get all the butt sections done to the 3rd stage of the planing. So that's gonna be a couple days. Okay, so we got all the 6 butt pieces good, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remeasure. We're gonna take off that 2/100 of an inch, and we're gonna take off some of the enamel and get these fully done. So that'll be done by today, hopefully, and then these will be ready to go. So all the strips are done and finished with the 3rd stage of planing. They're all tapered down to what we need. What we're gonna go through now is the next couple steps, which is gonna be like we're gonna tie them up we're gonna use some string and get them into the nice little hexagons that we want, and then we're gonna glue those, and then we're gonna toss them in this sort of heating oven with a light bulb that'll dry out the glue. So that's what we're gonna be doing today.
Make sure you get a decent amount on there. Nice even distribution.
See that? How it's all like bubbling out of there?
That's sweet.
Yep. Maybe 100 degrees or so to cure properly.
So we're gonna take out the pieces from the oven, and then we're gonna unstring them and then get ready to sand them down.
That's kind of satisfying.
Okay, so now to connect the 2 pieces once they're ready, we have a ferrule here, male piece, female piece, and we're gonna have to sand down and prep these to get these to glue on to either side. That way they can get squeezed in together. Okay, now both sections are ready and they've been sanded down. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna chop off the extra little bits that we left on each end of it. We're gonna prep to put on the ferrule and glue that so we can connect the 2, and we're also gonna get ready to put the grip on. Okay, so now the ferrules are on. They still have to dry a little bit. We put the cork grip on too, and we tape that up. We're gonna get ready to apply some varnish and finish this a couple times.
Nice try though. Just a bunch. Just do it for a minute or 2, couple minutes.
All right, so we have a couple layers of finish on. You can see the handle. What we just did is we fit the ferrule so you can slide that in there, and that's a nice tight fit. And so now we have our fully assembled rod. What we're gonna be doing now is just putting thread on, threading all the guides on, and then that's almost a finished rod.
I mean, Sundays, I've canceled the whole Sunday thing, party.
Okay, so we have glued the reel seat on, and we have applied some more layers of varnish. And this is our fully completed rod. We have all the guides on. We can now set this up and go cast it. Thanks for watching the tutorial, and I hope that you learned how to and now understand what goes into making a split cane bamboo fly rod like this one.